Getting started here. So, wanted to do this for a while, but never really got the chance. Wanted to get a TryHackMe membership and try it out after a colleague mentioned it to me. It was really interesting, especially since I knew about Hack the Box and VulnHub. But none of them really start you off at the very beginning. So I wanted to try this one out, and I went through the intro to offensive security, which I really liked the way they did it and guided and explained things and kind of gamified it. So I did that, and then for a while I couldn't really go much down this learning path for the junior penetration tester or any of the other ones, just because a lot of it is locked behind the premium membership. There's a lot of free features, which I do recommend you check out, but I did forget to get my webcam up, didn't I? So I pulling this up now while we're chatting. All right. There we go. It should be up, I think. Okay, so I got this membership and wanted to try it out for a while, so here we are. And I have Aria here as well in a private call with.
Hello.
So she had some questions and wanted to learn some about security and kind of what I do. So here we are. I always love when people want to learn and grow, and always willing to help that out. Eventually I want to do some giveaways for either vouchers for TryHackMe or Steam games that are based around hacking, or even just Steam gift cards. If you guys have any preferences, put them below in the comments, or message me. My socials are of course scrolling in the top corner, that way. And of course anywhere else you can always just message and ask. I'm pretty open. So here under the dashboard, I think it's actually under learn. There's different learning paths here that you can go through. I start out with the junior penetration tester because there's the intro into cybersecurity, pre-security, stuff like that. I am already working in a security role, so I do have some knowledge and some certifications. I do have like a CCNA. I do have my Network Plus, my CMNA, which is more kind of Meraki stuff for Cisco. I also have my Security Plus, which I got recently, and I'm working on the EJPT and the PNPT. I do need to remember to get my voucher for the PNPT, because that one they're finally going to expire their credential after 3 years unless purchased before September 1st. If purchased before September 1st, that won't apply and you still get a lifetime. But it is kind of opening up the TCM security team to kind of help out more people and grow some more on some things like that. Just replying to a message real quick. How's the audio level so far on like the music and stuff?
Well, it has to be on full for me to hear you quite.
Oh, the music or me?
Oh, I barely hear the music.
Oh, okay.
That sounds good.
Okay. I was gonna say I can bump my myself up here just a little bit there, so it's not terrible. I know I kind of speak softly. One of my favorite Theodore Roosevelt quotes is actually "Speak softly and carry a big stick." But yeah, I can understand how you would kind of want to keep it quiet so you don't hear yourself. It's kind of how I am a lot of time. So I did start going through the junior penetration tester, and that's kind of where it does show the intro into security and some of the other ones here on the dashboard. It didn't take me there. So I'm going to go dive into the intro into defensive security. Highly recommend the premium membership. It may look a little expensive. There's plenty of people giving out vouchers. Gar7 is one I highly recommend. He's the one that kind of gave me this idea and was giving away vouchers. There's plenty of others that I know of that are. If anything, stop by, see if you can get one. If not, $10 US dollars a month for if you just want to do monthly, 1 month and try it out. There is a trial period, I believe. I don't fully remember because it's been so long since I've done it. If not, it's about $90 for a year, which is still pretty doable, especially if you split it up and plan on doing it long term. But even just $10 for 1 month to try it out, see if this is what you like, either for offensive, defensive security, or anything around cybersecurity, I recommend it. Can't be beat.
Always invest in your knowledge.
Yes, always invest in your knowledge, keep growing, and even just to help others out. So this one we're going to kind of go more on defensive security here. So kind of what's a defender, things of that nature. So like offensive security focuses on one thing, breaking into systems. Breaking into systems might be achieved through exploiting bugs, abusing insecure setups, and taking advantage of unenforced access control policies, among other things. Red teams and penetration testers specialize in offensive security. They're kind of often seen as the bad guys or the people breaking and entering or testing things in a wrong way. But a lot of times they're doing it on the good side, or known as like white hat hackers, or even just red teams that are a little bit more of a minimal role compared with that. But defensive security is the opposite, somewhat, as it's concerned with two main tasks: preventing intrusion from occurring, and detecting intrusions when they occur and responding appropriately. Blue teams are a part of the defensive security landscape. They help defend, make secure, and make things good. A lot of the problems with stuff today is that the attackers have the advantage. In most everywhere else, mostly the defenders would have an advantage. But in cybersecurity landscape, the attackers have the advantage because they only have to get right once, and once you're through, you're in most of the time. And especially since things are so kind of open on the inside of certain systems and places. So defensive security is much harder but needed. Very needed. Even more so than penetration testers or hackers. Because there's people out there doing security research that will find these things, and people need to defend against it. But most of the time the security researchers will mention how to defend against things, or the vendors themselves will fix things. But defending in the meantime and making sure that works. Some of the tasks related to defensive security include cybersecurity awareness. Training users about cybersecurity helps protect against various attacks that target their systems. Documenting and maintaining assets. We need to know the types of systems and devices we have to manage and protect properly. Updating and patching systems. Ensuring that computers, servers, and network devices are correctly updated and patched against any known vulnerability or weaknesses. Which vulnerabilities are weaknesses. Setting up preventative security devices. Firewall and intrusion prevention systems, or IPSs, are critical components of preventative security. Firewalls control what network traffic can go inside and what can leave the system or network. They're kind of like the gatekeepers, or like the gate guards, so to speak, or walls or doors, anything preventing entry or exit, but they do kind of monitor as well. IPS blocks any traffic that matches present rules and attack signatures. So it's already set up with certain things for it to look for to either block or prevent coming in or out. So kind of like a list, or like a police checkpoint. When they set out an all points bulletin and they're looking for somebody or something specifically, they will set up a checkpoint and verify, okay, is this or is this not what we're looking for? If it's not, go right on ahead. What's that?
You know what it kind of reminds me of?
What's that?
How like the human body is like the computer, and the bad hackers are like bacteria
Yeah.
trying to penetrate, and the good hackers are the security defenses, like what you said, the white and the red.
Yeah, even just like white blood cell. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Human bodies are actually very similar to computers, because computers were kind of modeled after that to a degree. Because different parts of it are akin to the human body. Like the processor is the brain, the RAM is the memory. The eyes or optics is generally things like the mouse and keyboard can be limbs, the webcam can be eyes, the microphone can be like the voice or ears, depending on, or speakers are more voice, microphones are more like the ears. And yeah, there's lots of different things, and electricity is their blood. Electricity runs through computers and does everything for it. So it's kind of interesting how it does relate, and it can maybe help some people see it in a better light as well.
Yeah, so what's helping me?
Yeah, so that's a good point. I'll try to keep it as that as well, because just about everything I can think of can relate to the human body in some way, especially around computers and technology. But this would kind of be something a little bit more external to, because a computer itself I would think of as a human body. For a firewall, I would think of it, even though it does match that description very well, I would think of it as something more external. Because you could have a network as a human.
Firewall's kind of like an antibody.
Yeah, I kind of see it though as something more external because it is a separate device and it is kind of separated out. Um,
Mhm.
so I can kind of
Yeah.
see that, but we can go over that more. I think it may describe some more in this defensive security course, or we can go over that another time.
Yeah. Sounds right.
But yeah, fits well for now. Alright, so back to this text. So setting up logging and monitoring devices. Without proper logging and monitoring of the network, it won't be possible to detect malicious activities and intrusions. If a new unauthorized device appears on our network, we should be able to know. And if we don't, it's kind of like somebody coming into your house without you knowing and either
Yeah.
staying there, going through your stuff, or like even just leaving in general, which is not what you want. That could be very dangerous. So you kind of want to be aware of that.
Yeah.
There's much more to defensive security. The list above only covers a few common topics. In this room, so they call these instances rooms when we're going through these. So this is the intro to defensive security room. Um, so in this room, we'll cover the SOC, or Security Operations Center. That's often the group where the security people are at, or the department where they investigate things and are often much more defensive. I just kind of realized that my social scrolling up there, because the page is white, you can't really read them. So I'll have to do something about that in the future. But for now, it's fine. Threat intelligence, learning about threats, becoming more familiar. The DFIR, digital forensics and incident response, which is kind of like investigation, finding clues and things, kind of like a police investigation. Uh, Finding clues, piecing everything together, figuring out what happened, figuring out if there is anything happening, and if there is something going on in incident response, to figure out how do people get in, what steps do we take to remediate this, how do we patch this, and everything around that from start to finish. Malware analysis as well. So which team focuses on defensive security? Any idea?
Ah.
The SOC is not the team, but it is one team. But it's not the team that. So the SOC can also have red team and blue team, so it can have attackers or defenders.
Oh.
So this one specifically is talking more about the blue team, I believe, because it does have 4 and 4. I don't see where it actually mentions blue team though. Did it mention
So
that?
the IPS.
No, it would be the blue team.
Oh, it's just blue.
Yeah, oh here, it does say blue team right here. I was kind of wondering where it said that. You can kind of tell the answers based on how many stars and stuff is here. So it's 4 space 4.
I didn't even know that was the question. I thought you were just asking.
Oh no,
that.
apologies. Yes, that's the actual question on here. But yeah, so IPS is it's an actual system or something like that. So you can actually get a intrusion prevention system, an IPS, or an IDS, intrusion detection system. The detection system will only find things and let you know, like, hey, there's a guy walking in your house. The intrusion prevention is like a lock on the door, where it will prevent people from getting in, or like a gate guard who will kind of look at it and verify, okay, are you allowed to be in here? But yeah, so those are more like hardware solutions, but overall this one is for blue team for defending. I'm not sure if capitalization matters for some of these, but
Blue team.
Yep. Whoop. Answer's correct. On a streak. Keep going for 6 days for a badge. I would like to do more than just, come in for a badge and do one a day. So the second one here. So now we'll go on the areas of defensive security and the blue team. So in this task, we'll cover 2 main topics related to defensive security. The Security Operations Center, the SOC, where we cover threat intelligence. Digital Forensics and Incident Response, DFIR, where we also cover malware analysis. So the Security Operations Center, a lot of times these used to be in person, now they're highly remote. There are still some teams that do meet in person, some that are hybrids and some that are fully remote. As the world's changing due to COVID and a lot of things have happened, a lot of things are up in the air and can be flexible and change depending on what's going on. So the Security Operations Center is a team of cybersecurity professionals that monitor the networks and its system to detect malicious cybersecurity events. Some of the main areas of interest for a SOC are as follows below. Vulnerabilities. Whenever a system vulnerability or weakness is discovered, it is essential to fix it by installing the proper update or patch. The vendors will often come out with these as they've often been told what the issue is, either um, securely and confidently in like bug bounty programs or with proper disclosure, which we always highly recommend. So it's where security researchers will find something, and some companies have these bug bounty programs, and they will kind of say, hey, if you find something wrong with our stuff and tell us about it, if we think it's good enough, we'll give you money, and then we'll fix it, and then we'll give you like credit for it. If not,
Oh, yeah.
we'll still kind of look into it. But this
I've
is,
seen movies about stuff like that where people get paid to break into banks.
yeah, so this is very similar, but computer-wise. So
That's
hackers or red
cool.
teamers are paid to do that. Security researchers will often go and research things on their own. So security research is kind of like saying a bank going, hey, if any of you guys find anything wrong with our bank, come tell us, and we may reward you. It's kind of unique. There isn't quite as many analogies that I can think of kind of around that,
Sounds
but
like a really exciting job.
yeah, a lot of people do consider it exciting, but you also have the defenders on the other side. But the problem is you have to try lots of different things and kind of know what you're doing and know how things work on the back end. So for me, the biggest thing about getting into cybersecurity is that you need to know technology, like systems and networking, and you have to know them well, because cybersecurity is just how to make that better and secure it. You can get into security without knowing those things, but you're not going to know as much as people who do know the systems and deep dive into them. So it's kind of like if you were going to be an electrician or repair something for a house, if you know electricity and voltage and amps and stuff like that, that's great. If you don't know where wiring goes in a wall or stuff behind drywall in a like built house or how things interact, you're not going to be as much help to people. So one thing for cybersecurity is get into IT, get around it, or get familiar with a lot of the stuff. Even if it's just not security related, it will become security related when you get into your role in one way or another.
Interesting.
So yeah, often places will patch or come out with patches for things when they realize that they're broken or people have exploited them. So that's why there's lots of updates very frequently, because there's often multiple vulnerabilities being found or stuff being fixed and patched. Companies may have been aware of them or not. So if you often hear the term 0-day, 0-day refers to a vulnerability that is the company is unaware of and they haven't had time to patch it. So a 0-day may be found in the wild, so the terminology or the phrasing goes, where it's like, hey, we found this 0-day in the wild. Basically, somebody found out how to like break through something or into something, didn't tell anybody properly, and was using it for selfish means or gains, or when they did find it and they mentioned it to the company hasn't noticed yet, or things along that nature. But those are often what 0-days are versus just like normal regular patches, and sometimes they may be extreme 0-days where they're very critical to get patched, and they often send out announcements or notices to kind of be like, hey, this is very critical, you should go patch this, especially when log4j came out. Log4j was a big vulnerability that was affected almost everything, and if it wasn't patched and much older, it may still be vulnerable today.
Yes.
That's kind of the thing with security, is as much as we can preach about things being fixed, there's a lot of old technology that's forgotten about, or they can't fix it because it's running some old stuff.
Almost like superheroes.
They can be, but at the same time, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the background that people don't know about and hide from. I just really noticed that they have a TryHackMe logo in this computer here for this graphic. That is a very good placement of logo watermarking to claim that this is theirs. It's creative.
I see that too, yeah.
Just caught my eyes. Alright, so back to this. When a fix is not available, the necessary measures should be taken to prevent an attacker from exploiting it. So this one, if like there's a hole in your wall and you can't spackle the hole in your wall to the outside, like especially on a roof, it's best to put a tarp there to prevent water and other things getting in while you try and work on getting that resolved. This is kind of the same thing. You may have to take a server offline or put some other security measure or something in place to prevent people from going in there or messing with that while a patch does come out. So you may have to find ways around it. Although remediating vulnerabilities is of vital interest to a SOC, it's not necessarily assigned to them. A lot of times, especially TCM security, does mention this as well, because I've been going through their PNPT, is oftentimes you don't want the people finding the issues being the ones fixing the issues, because they could often just make up stuff like, hey, your catalytic converter's off. Like, oh no, that sounds bad. Well, there's no catalytic converters in computers or computer networks that I'm aware of. And they can be like, oh, it's all right, we'll sell you this, $1,000 device and it'll fix it. And there was never any issue to begin with. Or it could be, they may not know if it's actually, or they can just say whether something's fixed without it actually being fixed, if that makes sense. So there can be a lot of stuff. You don't want the guy who's often building your house being the same guy that is doing the electrical, the plumbing, insuring it, and all the above. You want some separation of duties.
Yeah.
But some SOC teams may be responsible for patching in smaller companies or smaller businesses. Policy violations. We can think of security policy as a set of rules required for the protection of network and systems. For example, it might be policy violation if a user starts uploading confidential company data to an online storage device. That may be no good because it may have to be on offline devices or secure containers. If it's being uploaded in areas where it shouldn't be, that's a big no-no, and the policies are there to basically secure that and make sure that everything is working the way it's supposed to. Sorry, I had to reach over and plug in my headset. It started dying, so I got the cord in there and realized it didn't make the noise like it started charging. So had to reach over and get that. So policies are in place to prevent that. Policy violations are investigated often by the SOC or an IT team. Unauthorized activity. Consider the case where a user's login name and password are stolen, and the attacker uses them to log into a network. The Security Operations Center, or SOC, needs to detect such an event and block it as soon as possible before further damage is done. This one's a really difficult one to do because it may look like proper activity unless somebody reports, hey, my username and password were stolen, especially if the user isn't aware of it. So this one is a difficult one to maintain and keep an eye on, but it is vital because if somebody gets a username and password that's stolen, they can get into a network, pretend to be that person. So like say an ID badge fell or somebody stole somebody's uniform and just walked into a business and pretended to be them. It can happen, and it actually does happen with social engineering, because with social engineering, people do hire other people, like you mentioned, to break into banks. They do hire them to break into companies physically as well and try to gain access to servers or confidential information. I know people that go the full 9 yards and put on full makeup, like make up on bruises, make it look like they're either homeless or that they're somebody else, and they will actually go and professionally either scope out the place or break in. One thing as well, a lot of people found out that if you carry a ladder and look like you know where you're going, you can get into most places because people will hold doors open for you.
Crazy.
Yeah, there's actually some people that broke into the Super Bowl a couple of years ago just holding a ladder and walked in out on the field before the game.
Jeez.
It was insane. But there are videos on there and out there about that. Network intrusions. No matter how good your security is, there's always a chance for intrusion. An intrusion can occur when a user clicks on a malicious link or when an attacker exploits a public server. Either way, intrusions occur. When an intrusion occurs, we must detect it as soon as possible and prevent it from further damage. So this is kind of saying, like, eventually somebody's going to probably break into something, no matter how good it is, because anything connected to the internet could have a vulnerability we don't know about. Users or individuals can click on things that they accidentally clicked on or weren't aware of or looks legitimate or anything, so people can get in regardless because nothing is foolproof. Even like a locked room or a locked house, there's still different ways in, either with the windows maybe being unsecure, breaking a window, busting through the door, if you need to, breaking through a wall or digging underneath. There's many ways. The only secure computer system is one that's not powered on and locked into a like sealed room. If it's not online and not connected to the internet, it's secure unless somebody gets physical access to it. So Security Operations Center covers various tasks to ensure protection. One such task is threat intelligence. So here's kind of where we're going to deep dive a little bit more. Threat intelligence. In this context, oh, apparently you click on that, it kind of changes it. That's trippy. I can't highlight it that way. I like highlighting as I read. In this context, intelligence refers to information you gather about actual and potential enemies. A threat is any action that can disrupt or adversely affect a system. Threat intelligence aims to gather information to help the company better prepare against potential adversaries. The purpose would be to achieve a threat-informed defense. Different companies have different adversaries. Some adversaries might seek to steal a customer's data from a mobile operator. However, other adversaries are interested in halting the production of petroleum refinery. Example adversaries include nation-state cyber army working for political reasons, a ransomware group acting for financial purposes. Based on the company's target, we can expect adversaries. There's very different kinds of adversaries based on there. A lot of people, like with NVIDIA, they went after the intellectual and property of NVIDIA and released the source code if their demands were not met, which was actually to unblock it from being rate limited as a crypto miner. So people wanted it to be okay to crypto mine with the new NVIDIA RTX cards. So they hacked them to get their source code and release it. Whereas other ones, maybe to stop the electrical power grid in a state, a nation, a country, any number of things. Could be for political reasons, could be financial gain. A lot of them are financial gain in some form or fashion, either getting credentials for banks or anything of the sort. Even just like wire transfers or anything to basically get information or get money. So here's kind of an example where it's talking about from the web, from servers, from firewalls, ingesting all of the data and sorting it, which they also have their neat little watermark. I think we might make it a little game to see if we can find where their watermark is, depending on how creative they get in the future. And ingesting it and sorting it by vulnerabilities, such as like critical, high, medium, or low vulnerabilities are often what these colors represent in certain things. But separating out what data comes from where and what that means, making sense of it. I do some of this as well professionally, so I kind of know a little bit more on threat intelligence versus some of the other things due to my experience. Intelligence needs data. Data has to be collected, processed, and analyzed. Data collection is done from local sources such as network logs, public sources such as forums. Processing of data aims to arrange them in a format suitable for analysis. Analysis phase seeks to find more information about the attackers and their motives. Moreover, it aims to create a list of recommendations and acceptable steps. So, making it more digestible and usable for people. Learning about your adversaries allows you to know their tactics, techniques, and procedures, or TTPs. It's often what that's short for. So if you ever hear about TTPs, that's tactics, techniques, and procedures on how adversaries do things. As a result of threat intelligence, we identify the threat actor, adversary, predict their activity, and consequently, we will be able to mitigate their attacks and prepare a response strategy. So, one of Sun Tzu's sayings or philosophies is to know your enemy well. If you know what your enemy is doing or going to do, you can prepare for it or prevent it or cut them off. I'm sure there's a direct quote around that. I don't recall it. I'm only human.
Sounds legit to me.
Yeah. Hashtag I said that. Digital Forensics and Incident Response, DFIR. Or DFIR. Probably DFIR because Incident Response is often known as IR. This section talks about digital forensics and incident response. We will cover digital forensics, incident response, and malware analysis. So it's kind of splitting it up a bit more. Digital forensics. Forensics is the application of science to investigate crimes and establish facts. With the use and spread of digital systems such as computers, smartphones, computers and smartphones, a new branch of forensics was born to investigate these crimes, computer forensics, which later evolved into digital forensics, because there's not only just computers these days, it's anything digital, which can even include, flash drives, phones, even IoT devices, Internet of Things devices, such as light bulbs that connect, like smart home speakers, or systems such as Alexa or Google Home. Anything that's electronic may have forensics and has been lumped in with digital forensics for investigation. In defensive security, the focus of digital forensics shifts from analyzing evidence of an attack and its perpetrators and other areas such as intellectual property theft, cyber espionage, possession of unauthorized content, and possession of unauthorized content. Consequently, digital forensics will focus on different areas, such as these below. Hey Ochu, no sub notification. It's there, it's just often delayed. But it doesn't show up on the screen. I need to get that set up. Twitch is much better at that than YouTube is, unfortunately. But thanks for stopping by. How's everything going being a new father? Love seeing all those pictures and everything. We definitely need to play the Cycle Frontier. I've been playing it a little bit, and it's basically Tarkov Apex. It's a little bit difficult. It has the difficulty level of kind of Tarkov, where you can lose everything eventually. But they kind of give you some stuff daily. So, I was going to reach out to you on that, but just haven't had the chance. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. For some reason, the activity feed just doesn't show up until maybe after the stream or something, because it's showing nothing new there yet. But I appreciate you subscribing. Yeah, busy. I understand that. I'm surprised you still find time to be online and do all kinds of stuff. You're always doing something. Chat's a little delayed as well, I can see. Alright, so some of the ones for digital forensics will focus on file system. Analyzing digital forensics image, a low-level copy, of a system's storage reveals much information, such as installed programs, created files, partially overwritten files, and deleted files. Said, do you like the game Loop? But no, you need a dedicated group to play with. Game Loop. What do you mean by game loop? Or is there a specific game called Loop? Yeah, there's stream delay for sure. No worries. We can still chat kind of between it. I'm just kind of reading out stuff as it comes through. Because there is some kind of delay. Doesn't look like it's really showing up on my end, but it's probably on YouTube's end. Normally it's a lot quicker and more live action, but I did notice that.
YouTube.
So as I was mentioning here, if you actually delete files, they're not gone. There's actually a video. Oh, there's your notification on my side. It won't pop up because I don't have alerts, but yeah, thanks for subscribing. Oh, there it goes in the chat too. So there's a great video from TCM Security and Heath, the Cyber Mentor, on their channel of he likes going when he's on vacation and out at places to go to thrift stores, and he likes cameras. And a lot of cameras will have SD cards. He went and actually showed how you can take an SD card, even that's been used and wiped supposedly and cleaned, plug it in and run a program and pull up all the old files. And there's multiple ways to do it that you'll get multiple files and find stuff on there, especially on computers as well. If you delete something, there's only a few ways you can fully delete it, but what you have to do is overwrite it with other information. So like even different company standards for clearing information often includes certain number of passes of rewriting information to fully make sure it's jumbled and cannot be recreated, kind of like shredding papers. There's certain classifications for shredding papers as well, and you want to shred it in a certain way and a certain grain to where it cannot be replicated, even by the most, determined people. Because when it's gone, you expect it to be gone. You don't expect somebody to just grab your hard drive, plug it in, and recover everything. But computers, it's all still technically on there. It's just not where you can get it quickly and easily.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, system memory. If the attacker is running their malicious program in memory without saving it to the disk, Taking a forensic image, or low-level copy, of the system memory is the best way to analyze the content and learn about the attack. The same actually applies with system memory, or RAM for a computer. You can pull a lot of stuff off of the system memory, especially if it hasn't been that long since something was deleted. That's why if you see in like movies or shows where they raid somebody's place and they have their computer and they're trying to unplug it or like delete it and unplug it and like light it on fire and stuff, if the people who rushed in are quick enough and they can grab that, they're just trying to get that away from the person and make a low-level copy because everything can still be on there. Like if somebody deleted something and they really didn't want to delete it and have a hard time, as long as they don't overwrite or really do anything on that computer, that can be recovered almost fully and most of the time. So that's one thing. If you ever delete something that you think you need accidentally, there's ways to restore it, as long as you don't let too much time pass or too much activity. System logs. Each client and server computer maintains a different files about what's happening. Log files provide plenty of information about what happened in a system. Some traces will be left even if the attacker tries to clear their traces. Yeah, system logs as well. If there's something that's logging system logs, that will all stay with the system logs and not on the machine. So say you have a little box that you have at your computer, you have a little box which are for logs, and then you have then it goes out to your network. The system logs will stay on that as soon as they kind of come off your computer, are not affected by your computer at all. I don't think there might be a way that the computer can send some stuff to kind of crash it or overwrite those logs, but I don't know of any way off the top of my head. Network logs. Logs of network packets that have traversed over a network would help answer more questions about whether attack is occurring and what it entails, and even what had happened. Because it's kind of like a receipt or transaction log of kind of like, this happened at this time, this happened at that time. I understand most of my hand gestures are going off the camera here, because I'm trying to gesture to my computer towers there. So Ocho, you mentioned the game loop. Are you just talking about the cycle frontier, or are you talking about a different game called loop? I mean, if you're ever down for a dedicated group, me and Ari are down for most games, to be honest. I don't think there's really any game we haven't played from, or at least one of us has played, I should say. Unless it's just like too expensive.
How many bits is Realm of the Mad God?
How big is it?
No, the
resolution? That's a good question. I'm guessing it's more like 8 or
24?
16. Possibly.
I was thinking 16 or 24.
I can look that up separately. (8-bit style), retro 8-bit style. So it's actually more, but it's designed in 8-bit. Because you'd be surprised, people can do some crazy stuff with 16 bits. Like 8 bits even, like some people can do some crazy stuff with 8 bits, but you can kind of tell based on the blocky that it is actual bits and stuff. So like even though Minecraft looks like it's a lower bit resolution type of game, they put a lot of resolution in it to make smaller pixels. So that's why Minecraft's a bit odd and unique. Alright, incident response. An incident usually refers to data breach or cybersecurity attack. However, in some cases, it can be something less critical, such as a misconfiguration, an intrusion attempt, or policy violation. That also depends on company on how severe they consider something to be an incident. Like, somebody can just yell at somebody and it can be an incident, or somebody can, break in and assault a bunch of people and that can be an incident. So the range of what an incident is defined by often company or individuals, and kind of what they think an incident might be. Yeah, what's weird if you're still there, Ochu, is that even like participants on here are not as good as showing on Twitch. So I still like the platform because it doesn't make me focus as much on the little things that people will focus on, and it stays there forever once I have it up, unlike Twitch, which has a 60-day retention policy. Examples of cyber attack include an attacker making our network or systems inaccessible, defacing or changing the public website, and data breach, or stealing company data. How would you respond to a cyber attack? Incident response specifies the methodology that should be followed to handle such a case. So it's kind of like set up things ahead of time, on what the incident should be and how it should be set up to basically explain, like, hey, um, it's more like a policy. So an incident response, it's more of like a thought process as kind of like a diagram here. But it's kind of this weird state of in between because it is flowing by nature. You can't just fully lay out like, okay, when we get ransomware, we're going to do this, this, and this. It's not actually going to be like that because it's going to change every single time. So it's kind of an in-between, more just like a thought process or methodology. The aim is to reduce damage and recover in the shortest time possible. Ideally, you would develop a plan ready for incident response. So ideally, yes, you would have something ahead of time that's loose enough that you can move around in it, but strict enough that you still have something to go off of, especially in a time of panic. Because most times incidents are panic because there's a lot of mystery around it and you don't know what's going on and you're trying to minimize things of that nature as well. Alright, 4 major phases of incident response process are preparation, detection and analysis, containment, eradication, and recovery, and post-incident activity. Preparation. This requires a team to be trained and ready to handle incidents. Ideally, various measures are put in place to prevent incidents from happening in the first place. Yeah, if you get a team that's not trained or ready to handle, there can be a lot of panic and them not knowing, especially if you don't have an incident response plan in place. It can be chaos. It's like trying to evacuate somebody in a fire drill with having nothing in place and just like ringing a bell and then expecting people to run out in an orderly fashion and be organized and all that. It's not going to work. Some people are going to get hurt. Things are going to be chaotic. Detection and analysis. The team has necessary resources to detect any incident. Moreover, it's essential to further analyze any detected incidents to learn about its severity. So this is kind of saying like, hey, you have enough to detect it. Once you have it, you need to like investigate it to learn about the severity and then, more information around it. So yeah, containment, eradication, and recovery. Once an incident is detected, it's crucial to stop it from affecting other systems, eliminate it, and recover the affected systems. For instance, when we notice that a system is affected with a computer virus, we would like to contain the virus from spreading to other systems, clean, eradicate the virus, and ensure the proper system recovery. If you get a system that's been affected and you just restore the programs that are there, restore it to where people can use it, that virus is still in there and can do some stuff. You want to get rid of it first and then bring everything back up to how it should be. Like if somebody breaks into your house, you don't want to just like fix the door that they broke without making sure that the house is clear, taking notice of what was done or taken or damaged, and make sure that there's not any way for them to get back in as well. So you want to make sure all that's done before you fix the lock, because there's no use in fixing the lock if somebody's still inside. Hey, how's it going, Wicked? Appreciate you stopping by. What you having for food? I'm going through TryHackMe and going through a defensive security, intro to defensive security course right now, and kind of going through the information before I go more into the rooms and practice some stuff. So it's a bit informational right now, but doing pretty good. Trying to get more security related stuff on here. Alright, we were in incident response. So post-incident activity. After successful recovery, a report is produced, and the lesson learned is shared to prevent future incidents. So kind of investigation, as you can see here. Preparation, detection, analysis, containment, eradication, recovery, and you cycle through this until everything is good. Then you go to post-incident activity while you prepare for the next one, which may have happened. Some burgers and fries? Nice. You didn't add anywhere specifically, or just kind of home meal? It's all good either way. I just had some chicken pasta that was left over from when Arya here made me some food last week. It was really good. I love it.
Thank you.
Of course.
It was already pre-made.
Oh, it was. It was the skillet stuff, wasn't it? You made a lot of good stuff otherwise. I just forgot that was pre-made. I mean, you still cooked it and seasoned it, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Probably just didn't throw it in the pan. Oh, that's the best kind right there. Some nice homemade burgers. Arya wanted to make some for me, and she needs to still.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, burgers would be nice. just double check some stuff real quick. Oh yeah, I do see where it says you're subscribed here in my notification as well, Ochu. You're still here. Yeah, it's pretty good. I noticed that there's kind of a delay here in chat for some reason as well. I think YouTube's just having a bit of a delay today. I'm not really seeing any issue on kind of my side. Let me set this up. Setting up my notifications on Discord there so people see it. Alright, somebody was asking me what I was playing or anything, and they were like, "Oh, you're live. Never mind." I'm like, continue on. Like, okay. I try to check messages at least a little bit while I'm live in case there's anything going on that I'm not aware of. Like yesterday, I forgot to unmute my mic while we were in the middle of stuff, or the day before. Today's Monday. I was like, when is D&D again? D&D's Tuesday. That's tomorrow. Yesterday felt like Monday. Today feels like Tuesday. It's not. So yeah, I'll be live tomorrow with Curse of Straw D&D. If you kind of want to see what D&D online looks like, or just kind of see us maybe struggle a bit because we're coming to the close of one chapter and into another, it looks like, possibly. Not actually sure what we're doing. I'm not the DM. Malware analysis. Malware stands for malicious. Go ahead.
Can you scroll back up for a moment? I wanted to look at that chart again.
Yeah, sure. I can kind of keep it on the screen here as well. So malware analysis. Malware stands for malicious software. Software refers to programs, documents, and files that you can save on a disk or send over the network. Malware includes many types, such as virus, Trojan horses, and ransomware. I'll kind of explain those in a minute. Today's Sunday and had a 3-day weekend. Nice. I thought about it. I haven't taken any extra time off, really, for a while. I probably should coming up, but, I mean, my pace for work has been pretty good. So I'm content on where I'm at, and like drove out to Vegas and then back the past 2 weekends, and I kind of enjoyed the drive and the scenery and the time I spent. So that kind of felt like a vacation to me. 3-day weekends are nice though. I used to have it to where I worked and went to school and had 3-day weekends, and that was very enjoyable. Oh, I scrolled down a little bit by habit. Alright, so a virus is a piece of code, which is part of a program, that attaches itself to a program. It's designed to spread from one computer to another. Moreover, it works by altering, overwriting, and deleting some files once it infects a computer. The result ranges. They didn't make result plural, but they made ranges plural, so that confused me. The result ranges from the computer becoming slow to unusable. There's also a Trojan horse, which is a program that shows one desirable function but hides a malicious function underneath. For example, a victim might download a video player from a shady website that gives the attacker complete control over their system. But you got a video player. Is that a trade-off you want, though? Ransomware is a malicious program that encrypts a user's files. Encryption makes the files unreadable without knowing the encryption password. The attacker often uses the encryption password if the user is willing to pay a ransom or meet their demands. I added the meet their demands part. Okay, were you good with the chart?
And the watermark.
Oh,
yeah.
in this one?
Mm-hmm.
There's a watermark there?
Mm-hmm.
Where?
Oh, not in the chart.
Oh. I was like, where's the watermark? I don't see it. We're trying to look because if you see here, TryHackMe actually has their logo in many of their things that they make, and we noticed it with this one. I'll have to go back and see in previous ones if I see it, but yeah, I saw it in this one as well. So you were done with the chart? Are you?
Yes.
Okay. You're done with the chart, right?
Yes.
Okay. Alright, so malware analysis aims to learn about such malicious programs using various means. Also, thank you for stopping by, Wicked and Ochu. In case I didn't mention it. Appreciate you guys so much. So static analysis works by inspecting the malicious program without running it. Usually requires solid knowledge of assembly language or processor's instructor set, i.e. computer's fundamental language. So if you are to do static analysis of malware, it's kind of like looking at a video without playing the video. So you're looking through the code of the video to see what it possibly might be showing or might be trying to do without it actually going through it. There's also dynamic analysis, which works by running the malware in a controlled environment and monitoring its activities. It lets you observe how a malware behaves when running. So they often call this sandboxing. So you may sandbox a program or process to see how it works and what happens when it does that. So somebody may take it, throw it into a sandbox, run it, see what happens, and then they know if it's good or not. To a degree. All right, we're on to our 3 questions. So this one, I think you were a little bit ahead of your time, but what would you call a team of cybersecurity professionals that monitor a network and its systems from malicious events?
SOC.
Which stands for?
Security Operations Cyber?
Close. The last word's not the same.
Center.
Yep, center. There you go. What does DFIR stand for?
I don't remember that one.
Okay, I know.
Defensive.
IR stands for Incident
Report.
Incident Response.
Response.
I'm not good at typing. I'm good at technology. Digital Forensics.
Okay. Digital Forensics.
Incident Response.
Yeah.
Okay, what kind of malware requires the user to pay more money to regain access to their files? I was gonna hold my hand up and like block the screen so you couldn't see it, but for streaming it's
Ransomware.
there you go. So you're learning. Okay, so we're gonna submit, and there's often hints as well if you actually need them. So this one here, the hint is SOC. So if you kind of see that, you know, you can go back through these and find the stuff like we kind of did here, because I didn't remember the digital forensics part. I didn't add the and, which was interesting. But it took the answer. Oh, it didn't actually have the spot for and. Curious. Alright, on to the next part. Alright, see if you can find the logo in this graphic. What would be a typical task you would be doing as a cybersecurity analyst? Click View Site to follow along. Alright, did you find the logo?
Catching up.
Oh, it's delayed. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I found it. It's on
Good.
the stand.
Alright, so when you click Open Site here, it's actually going to pull up this other site or like an instance where you can actually go through stuff and interact with it here. So there's like a graph where you can see and like investigate things, and you can actually go through it. So following along here, this graphic is kind of cool. But you're part of a security operations center, a SOC, responsible for protecting a bank. This bank's SOC uses security information and event management, or a SIEM manager, or SIM system, which stands for Security Information Event Management. A SIEM, however you want to pronounce it. I'm not too big on making sure pronunciations is stuck or anything unless it's somebody's name or it's supposed to be a certain way, but a lot of people pronounce things different ways, so I'm not too caught up on that. SIM gathers security-related information and events from various sources and presents them via one system. So it's kind of like a one pane of glass or one panel to view everything that you can manage it from. For instance, you would be notified if there's a failed login attempt or a login attempt from an unexpected geographic location. Moreover, with the advent of machine learning, a SIM might detect unusual behavior, such as a user logging in at 3 a.m. when he usually logs in only during work hours. In this exercise, we will interact with a SIM to monitor different events in our network and systems in real time. Some of these events are typical and harmless. Others might require further investigation from us at the SOC. Find the event flagged in red and take note of it and click on it for further inspection. Okay? So the one here is an unauthorized connection attempt detected from IP address to port 22. So unauthorized connection attempt. So there's successful, there's a user successfully login, there's failed multiple attempts, and there's another login failure for a password expiring. So we're going to click on that, and then ipscanner.tryhackme. Check IP address. So, I didn't see the IP address there. Can we go back to it? I think it was a 143. Will it not show us?
143.110.250.149.
Perfect, thank you. So that's one thing, especially when you're looking at this stuff, is to make sure you note stuff down, especially in notes. So I'm going to take this and put this in my notepad just in case I do need this. Always recommended, highly recommended that you take notes on things. Okay, so when I pulled this up on this scanner for TryHackMe, it does mention like, hey, IP address was found malicious. So there is IP scanners out there, and you can kind of see. This says it's from China Mobile Communications Corporation, from China Mobile Limited. TryHackMe, THM, country China, and then location. So it says instructions. There are many databases out there like Abuse IPDB or Abuse IP Database and Cisco Talos Intelligence. Highly recommend if you haven't seen their podcast or anything like that. They don't just talk about security. It's called Beers with Talos. Funny, relatable, and they teach you lots of stuff. They've done so many podcasts, but they only do them like once a month, which is kind of sad. But you get a lot of crazy stories and information, but it's just a bunch of relatable people. If I ever end up doing a podcast, that's kind of what I want it to be like. Where you can perform a reputation and location check on an IP address. Most security analysts use these tools to aid them with alert investigations. You can also make the internet safer by reporting malicious IPs, for example, on Abuse IPDB or Abuse IP Database. Now we know what the IP address is malicious, we need to escalate to a staff member. So if you click Next. We shouldn't worry too much if it was a failed authentication attempt, but you should probably notice the successful authentication attempt from the malicious IP. Let's declare a small incident event and escalate it. There's some great staff working at the company, but you wouldn't want to escalate this to the wrong person who's not in charge of your team or department. So who would you escalate it to? So we have Dominic Nash, the sales executive. We have Nadia Watson, the security consultant. We have Carolyn Stone, the information security architect, or William Griffin, the SOC team lead.
William Griffin.
Okay. So choose staff member. You got the permission to block the malicious IP address. Now you can proceed and implement the block rule. Block the malicious IP on the firewall and find out what message they left for you. So good thing that I noted that IP down, because we did end up needing it again, and I didn't know this ahead of time, but it's always good to have that information there. So block it, and then when I blocked it, I get the flag. So oftentimes you'll see things like this, and you can see it down here in the answer format, but THM and then those curly brackets, and that there is called a flag, and often found in capture the flag events. And it's kind of what you look for to know that you've completed something. So it's an intentional piece of left information in a lot of these instances to replace real information that you can kind of go, okay, I know I got this and I got the secret code, and I can put in the secret code. So I'll put it in there and I'll submit once we finish reading this last part. But next we'll want to learn more about the suspicious event or activity. A suspicious event might have been triggered by an event such as local user, local computer, or remote IP address. To send and receive postal mail, you need a physical address. Similarly, you need an IP address to send and receive data over the internet. An IP address is a logical address that allows you to communicate over the internet, kind of like a physical address for your home. We inspect the cause of the trigger to confirm whether the event is indeed malicious. If malicious, we need to take action, such as reporting to somebody else in the SOC or blocking the IP address. So, congrats, completed the room. So next, that kind of gets us through 2/3 of the learning path. This next one is careers in cyber. To kind of mention what different careers there are and things of that nature.
Cool.
All right, so introduction here. I don't see a TryHackMe logo in this, but it might be pretty minuscule. It looks like somebody just kind of whipped this up in paint, but they still did a pretty good job. I wouldn't be able to replicate something like that. I don't know why there's loose chords of like purple, red, blue, and yellow. I think that's some of the TryHackMe colors, but loose chords with like a Mac looking keyboard in there, that looks like a wireless keyboard. Or some kind of sheathing on it. I don't know, I'm a stickler for details. Plus, Who would want like a shield with 2 crossed swords on their briefcase? Especially for technology. I mean, unless you're going to tech support for a LARPing or anime or D&D convention. I don't know. I mean, it'd still be pretty cool for somebody who likes it. I'm not judging. I'm more concerned with the cables inside that are loose. Anyway, cybersecurity careers are becoming more in demand and offer high salaries. Why is that clickable? Oh, it takes us to a TryHackMe article that talks about what a typical cybersecurity career salary is, which is interesting. So cybersecurity analysis, about 40,000 pounds. I don't know pounds conversion. Ethical hacker, 45,000 pounds. Security administrator, 30,000 pounds. Web developer, 52,000 pounds. And it kind of goes up from there. With CISOs being at 95,000 plus pounds a year, I'm guessing. So it seems like this may be based in the UK or EU. Alright. There are many different jobs within the cybersecurity industry, from offensive pen testing, hacking machines and reporting on vulnerabilities, to defensive security, defending against and investigating cyber attacks. Why get into cybersecurity, or why get a career in cybersecurity? There's a lot of high-paying jobs due to high demand, which I guess I'm jumping ahead of myself. So high pay, they've got high starting salaries and potential for increase as well. They're exciting. Work can include legally hacking systems or defending against cyber attacks. So things can either be dull or active. It can flow, ebb and flow. And in demand. There are over 3.5 million unfilled cybersecurity positions, and that's a rough estimate. That's not even like nobody has a real idea of the scope of how understaffed and in-demand cybersecurity jobs are, just because there's more coming every day and it's exponentially increasing. We're starting to actually get people in jobs in cybersecurity industry. There's so many more spots that need to be filled, but it is still complex, and that's why there's a high pay as well. Because like I mentioned, especially in my experience, being a part of IT and learning how things work before you can secure them is needed, and a lot of people who are into IT kind of already know how difficult that is and don't often want to make the next jump or move because either they're not passionate about it, comfortable where they are, or any number of other reasons. So let's start exploring different roles in cybersecurity. Forgot this part. This room helps you break into cybersecurity by providing information about various cybersecurity roles. It also links to different learning paths that you can use to start building your cyber skills. I like how it says your answer is correct when it just says complete. Alright. Okay, I see the watermark in this one. This one was hand drawn by somebody. I still like the aesthetic of having the different screens and glasses and the interface here, but it happens to be on the shirt for this one. Alright, security analyst, responsible for maintaining the security of an organization's data. Security analysts are security analysts are integral to constructing security measures across organizations to protect the company from attacks. Analysts explore and evaluate company networks to uncover actionable data and recommendations for engineers to develop preventable measures. This job role requires working with various stakeholders to gain an understanding of security requirements in the security landscape. Responsibilities include things such as working with various stakeholders to analyze the cybersecurity throughout the company, compile ongoing reports about the safety of the networks, documenting security issues, and measures taken in response. Develop security plans, incorporating research on new attack tools and trends, measures needed across teams to maintain data security. Learning paths. TryHackMe's learning paths give you both fundamental and technical knowledge for hands-on experience, which is crucial to becoming a successful security analyst. They have pre-security and cyber defense learning paths. So if anybody's interested, these are there. And even just like the intro here, you can kind of go there, and I know a lot of people will pivot back and forth. So sometimes just getting into cybersecurity, especially as a SOC analyst role, that's often the entry level, depending on the company that you're with. Would be a way that you can get in, and then you can see all of these other roles that are down below here, and even just figure out what else is in the space, because there's tons of different roles in cybersecurity, just as there is in IT, but unless you're in the space and know some more about it, you won't actually know what's out there.
I messaged you.
Okay. Alright, so here's another one here, and it looks like this guy has it on his shirt as well. It's kind of an interesting looking server rack with an output of lines of code here with some cables running across. There's one that's got loose cables on the ground. I wouldn't touch that with a screwdriver if I were you, pal. I would wear some protective equipment when dealing with open wiring like that. So this is for security engineer. Design, monitor, maintain security controls, networks, and systems to prevent cyber attacks. So these are kind of the people that make the changes, they implement the stuff that's going on, and they're kind of the builders, doers, creators, changers. If that kind of makes sense. For security analysts are monitoring things that are up. Security engineer might be helping implement things or changing them. Security engineers develop and implement security solutions using threat and vulnerability data, often sourced from members of the security workforce. Security engineers work across circumventing a breadth of attacks, including web application attacks, network threats, and evolving trends and tactics. The ultimate goal is to retain and adopt security measures to mitigate the risk of attack and data loss. Responsibilities include testing and screening security measures across software, monitoring networks and reports to update systems and mitigate vulnerabilities, identifying and implementing systems needed for optimal security. So they have learning paths here as well from TryHackMe, such as cyber defense, junior penetration tester, and offensive pen testing. And this one actually is the junior penetration tester career path, or path, I believe. I like how they do lay out a lot of this information. You can even rate the courses here and figure out which ones people like, but they do kind of lay out a lot of the roles in here that, I mean, if you did get into TryHackMe and you were interested in this and got, you know, a little bit this far, it would be good to get this information, especially as a beginner, if you don't know what it is and kind of detail what things are. Nice cool drink there. There's my voice for a minute. Alright, next is an incident responder. I like how it's on the shield on this one. A cyber hammer and shield along with a fire extinguisher. Glowing as well. You can see the glow effects on the pants and body. Love seeing artwork. I'm an art fiend. Love seeing art. Love analyzing it. Not as good at drawing. I need to kind of get back into it a little bit. I did some like drawing and things of that nature before. Ended up kind of giving Aria my notebook so she could have some stuff to take notes and do things she wanted to. I may upload a picture later. She drove me this cute little octopus bird floating entity, and it's up on the fridge. And I may upload it later onto Instagram, Twitter, possibly even my Facebook. I don't have as many people on Facebook, but I can always put stuff in Discord, my Discord server. I don't have that up yet, but if people are well enough, I'll probably invite them to it and maybe eventually open it up or have a secondary one just for streaming. So they identify and mitigate attacks, incident responders. Identify and mitigate attacks whilst an attacker's operations are still unfolding. So they're kind of like the first responders or first line, being incident responders, where they kind of just jump in and handle things as they're actively going. Alright, just checking a meeting. That looks like D&D will be delayed tomorrow, possibly. But kind of keep on the pulse of that. Incident responders respond productively and efficiently to security breaches. Their responsibilities include creating plans, policies, and protocols for organizations to enact during and following incidents. This is often a highly pressured position with assessments and responses required in real time as attacks are unfolding. I know oftentimes people who are in these type of positions aren't often getting sleep to a degree because you have to be like around the clock trying to either chase after, maintain distance with, or get ahead of the attackers. Figure out where they are, what they're doing, and how to make up a plan to go around it. Incident response metrics include MTDD, MTTA, and MTTR, the mean time to detect, acknowledge, and recover from attacks. So mean time to detect, mean time to acknowledge, and mean time to recover from attacks is what the MTTD, MTTA, and MTTR stand for. The aim is to achieve swift and effective response, retain financial standing, and avoid negative breach implications. Ultimately, incident responders protect the company's data, reputation, and financial standing from cyber attacks. Responsibilities include developing and adopting a thorough, actionable incident response plan, maintaining strong security best practices and supporting incident response measures, and as well post-incident reporting. My brain wanted to say response. Post-incident reporting in preparation for future attacks, considering learnings and adaptations to take from incidents. So learning paths are for cyber defense there. I mean, it may be, if you're really into the red teaming for companies, it may be good to go through these other ones as well, just to get familiar with how these people will respond to things and act, but only in a responsible way. Digital Forensics Analyzer. There it is this time. Cat pictures. Love the stack of devices there. So Digital Forensics Examiner. Responsible for digital forensics, investigate incidents and crimes. If you like to play detective, this might be the perfect job. If you're working as part of a law enforcement department, you would be focused on collecting and analyzing evidence to help solve crimes, charging the guilty and exonerating the innocent. On the other hand, if your work falls under defending a company's network, you'll be using forensic skills to analyze incidents such as policy violations. So these responsibilities include collect digital evidence while observing legal procedures, analyze digital evidence to find answers related to the case or incident, and document your findings and report on the case. So that is the Digital Forensics Examiner. There's no paths for that, because often that is more legal and company based on how you would proceed, but I imagine a lot of these paths could still kind of be related to a Digital Forensics Examiner, because if you know how to do something or go through something, you might be able to figure out how to investigate, especially on the defending side. Welcome back.
Hey.
So the Malware Analyst, like where it is on this, and kind of have little viruses and bugs and jars on this one. Analyzes all types of malware to learn about how they work and what they do. Malware analysts' work involves analyzing suspicious programs, discovering what they do, and writing reports about their findings. A malware analyst is sometimes called a reverse engineer, as their core task revolves around converting compiled programs from machine language to readable code, usually in a low-level language. So low-level language is something that's not too high-end, but can be readable by computers without interfering with any other programs and languages, so it kind of does it at more of a base level, what they mean by low-level language. So more relatable or translatable to the binary language of ones and zeros that computers use. Because computers use ones and zeros, we have different language constructs such as, English, Spanish, French, all kinds of other languages, which then have to be translated into programs, and there's lots of translations that go on through computer languages into even just binary, because computers still run off of just ones and zeros or electricity turning on and turning off. So these guys kind of dig down deeper into code and malware to figure out what really makes this stuff work. This work requires malware analysts to have strong programming background, especially in low-level languages such as assembly language, which the processor uses, and C language. Ultimate goal is to learn about all the activities that the malicious program carries out, find out how to detect it, and report it. So these are the type of people that will, when somebody makes a program, they will kind of dissect it and decipher it, and then make them rules on how to find it, even if it changes a bit, to guarantee that that is blocked in the future. You can't fully find or block malware unless it's a set time, but if they evolve over time, there's no real way to completely block those out unless there's a specific core part of their code that's always used for that malware, if that makes sense. Kind of like how the attention to detail of the shadow here, where his legs go into like the table here, which is interesting.
Yeah, it looks cool.
I think the table leg here is not really providing a shadow, but he looks like a little TV man in the shadow. Their responsibilities include carrying out static analysis of malware programs, which entails reverse engineering, conduct dynamic analysis of malware samples by observing their activities in a controlled environment, and last but not least, documenting and reporting all of the findings. Almost all these jobs have a big reporting element to it through cybersecurity, and that is a whole different type of thing that most people don't talk about because they just want to know about the stuff. But there is a giant need of soft skills in computer cybersecurity of reporting. So always make sure you take good notes and report things, because you have to be able to prove kind of what you're doing and what you found, and it may be readable by, not just some people, but a lot of people, depending on what it is. Alright, so this one here is a penetration tester. Logo here looks like it happens to be on the hat. Glowing wires on this to a TV with some electricity. It's kind of interesting. They really
Isn't that what you do?
Not fully. I am more of a threat and vulnerability management, but I do some penetration testing, and I'm going to go through some boxes here and TryHackMe to be more penetration testy and work. That's kind of the job or the rock star role that a lot of people want to go for, because it is kind of being paid to break into stuff. For me, I'm more of a threat and vulnerability analyst and deal with vulnerability and threats. So I kind of analyze those and advise on those for companies and individuals. So these are responsible for testing technology products for security loopholes. You may see penetration testing referred to as pen testing and ethical hacking. Penetration tester's job role is to test security of systems and software within a company. This is achieved through attempts to uncover flaws and vulnerabilities through systemized hacking. So it's not just hacking with reckless abandon, it's hacking with a purpose and a system to try and get into or around stuff. Penetration testers exploit these vulnerabilities and evaluate their risk in each instance. The company can then take these insights to rectify issues to prevent real-world cyber attacks. So this is the role where if you were to hire somebody to break into a bank, you hire these guys or penetration testers to break into your computers or networks as if they were attackers, but for the good of teaching you how they did it and how to fix it. The responsibilities include conducting tests on computer systems, networks, and web-based applications. There's also web-based penetration testers, specifically. Or wide range depending on what they do. There's also social engineering penetration testers, which will go in person and actually attempt to break into places or pick locks or try to fool people into certain things, or even just fooling people over the phone, such as vishing is what it's called, or phishing through emails, PH phishing. Or there's also spear phishing, going after certain individuals, like C-suite individuals or companies. There's all kinds of other different versions along those lines of penetration testers. Perform security assessments, audits, and analyze procedures or policies. Evaluate and report insights, recommending actions for attack prevention. These are kind of through the junior penetration tester learning path and offensive pen testing path. There's a lot to learn in a lot of these, and a lot of it is difficult to a degree if you don't know how certain things work and based on certain types of attacks. But just as there's like many holes in Swiss cheese, there's many more holes in computers and applications and stuff, because things can be done in certain ways that the computer may think is logical, but we may think that's not logical at all. So that's it for penetration tester. On to red teamer. Kind of like this one here. They've got some USBs, some keys, USBs and keys, some cords kind of stringing from it, a big device on the back that's glowing green with some rods, logo on a long sleeve t-shirt, and they look like they're on the go. So a red teamer is kind of like a bigger classification of like penetration tester and a few of these other ones kind of lumped together. Same with blue team, they're kind of a bit lumped together. But red teamer plays the role of an adversary, attacking an organization and providing feedback from an enemy's perspective. Red teamers share similarities to penetration testers, with a more targeted role. Penetration testers look to uncover many vulnerabilities across systems to keep cyber defense in good standing, whilst red teamers are enacted to test a company's detection and response capabilities. So penetration testers may not be maybe trying to go outside to attack other companies. Red teamers are more of like an internal team to attack and advise within a company. That's kind of more of a simplistic way of breaking it down, but that's one way to view it. This job role requires imitating cyber criminals' actions, emulating malicious attacks, retaining access, and avoiding detection. Red team assessments can run for up to a month, typically by team external to the company. Okay, so these are more external, where pen testers can kind of be internal or external. But this one is more like a group of people kind of doing penetration testing, but also trying to maintain access. They're often best suited to organizations with mature security programs in place. Yeah, you wouldn't probably hire a full red team if you don't have as much mature security postures or developed security postures, just because they will find a lot of stuff and it would kind of be a waste of their time, to be honest. But they're kind of more advanced. Responsibilities: emulate the role of a threat actor to uncover exploitable vulnerabilities, maintain access, and avoid detection. Assesses organization security controls, threat intelligence, and incident response procedures. Finally, evaluate and report on insights and actionable data for companies to avoid real-world instances. Apparently they're coming soon with a red team learning path, but that also follows junior penetration tester and offensive pen testing. Alright, get another drink here, and then we got a quiz. Alright. This room has provided you with a general overview of different careers in cybersecurity. Don't forget that you can leverage online training to land your dream job in cybersecurity. This link looks like it takes us to an article on TryHackMe about how to leverage online training to get high-paying careers. I think they're mainly talking about mostly their platform, but they are mentioning some other stuff about relevant certifications and making sure your CVs and interviews and resumes are good, and consistent training along the way.
Send you a message.
Thank you.
Would you ever think about becoming on red team?
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm going towards, is penetration tester and red teamer. Red teamer is kind of being more with other penetration testers. So eventually I kind of want to work towards that. Right now I'm still kind of just a threat analyst, and I've done some pen testing kind of on my own, checking vulnerable stuff, but eventually that is kind of where I want to go towards.
That's cool.
But I still don't have enough maturity in the space to know. I know kind of fully what different roles encompasses, but I haven't been in and around that stuff specifically enough to know exactly if I want to maintain doing that or maybe even evolve from it later on. But that's kind of right now the end goal for me, at least.
They do internships?
Some companies and some places do. I mean, I'm already technically in the best role for my company to kind of be around that, because I am already around those teams and those projects. So I've already got plenty of exposure. I just need to get my skills up and get more experience with actual penetration testing and reporting.
Well, that's really cool.
Reporting isn't as difficult for me. It's just trying to get my mind wrapped around the proper formatting that others would like to see and what kind of shows, which is very highly individualized based on, who would be reading the report or who would want to see it. So that's kind of more of a soft skill that would evolve kind of as I work with certain things. So to find out which cybersecurity role suits you best, try our fun quiz, which you can access by clicking on View Site button. So this is interesting. I think we'll go based on your answers, if that's alright.
Oh, jeez. I have to wait for it to load.
Oh, that's fine. I'll read it out and everything. But
Okay.
yeah, you can kind of see it when it pops up too, if you're okay with it. That is.
That's fine. I just feel like
Yeah, I know
I'm
it's kind of on the
sparse.
spot, but that's okay. I think this will be creative. So, if you were stranded on an island, what's the first thing you would do? Would you try to build a raft home? Would you try to scope the landscape for potential threats? Would you try to gather food and plan next steps? Would you find a way to send an SOS? Or lastly, would you build a shelter to prevent potential attacks?
I would say gather food and plan next steps.
Okay. So, in your spare time, you like to either tinker with new technology and understand how it works, watch crime solving TV shows, keep busy by learning something new, find geocaches in my neighborhood, or upkeep and maintain my home through DIY projects. So, for those that don't know, geocaches are a thing that I didn't even really know about too much, but it's like people will physically hide stuff in areas in the real world, and they will give little hints or clues on where to find it in the real world. And as you go to find it, you'll take like a little trinket out or leave a little trinket for somebody else to find, or both. And then like still keep up the spirit of it, making sure that the thing is still there for others to find or marked off properly along those lines.
I have to say I'm torn between keeping busy learning something new and upkeep. So
Okay, so either doing
keep
DIY
busy
projects or
learning
learning something.
something new.
Okay. If you could buy a fictional celebrity dinner, would it be Tony Stark, Iron Man? Would it be Sherlock Holmes? Would it be Yoda from Star Wars? Would it be Bruce Wayne slash Batman? Or would it be Walter White from Breaking Bad?
Hmm.
Those are some
We're talking
really
about the
good
character
choices.
or the actor?
Fictional celebrity, so the character.
Well, then I would have to say for character, I would say Sherlock Holmes,
Yeah, what about the actor?
Iron Man. I always wanted Robert Downey
Okay.
Jr. has a really good life story. I've always wanted to hear.
Yeah, that makes sense. I would probably want to have a dinner personally with Yoda. Or
Yoda sounds like a
probably,
good
yeah,
deal.
Tony Stark as well.
Too many dad jokes.
I don't know. I don't think he has too many jokes. I think he just tries to be wise in his own way. Alright, so your favorite game is Battleships, Cluedo? Cluedo? I've never heard of
I
that
don't know
one.
what that is.
Cluedo? Chess, Hide and Seek, or Risk?
Risk.
Risk, alright. You're best described as curious, strategical, calm under pressure, mischievous, or practical.
Curious.
Okay. Your favorite movie is Back to the Future, Matrix, Terminator, Indiana Jones, or Jurassic Park?
Jurassic Park.
Alright, so you have Incident Responder, which is very interesting. So I think this is the same one here that kind of shows, but basically they are so they respond productively and efficiently to security breaches. Responsibilities include creating plans, policies, and protocols for organizations to enact during and following incidents. It's often a highly pressurized position, with assessments and responses required in real time as attacks are unfolding. As I mentioned, a lot of these people don't often
Yeah, I'm
get
a
a lot of
tank.
sleep. What?
I said, yeah, I'm a tank.
Kind of. It's kind of like a tank as well. As you can see here, there's a shield and a hammer and a fire extinguisher. But this is kind of where once there's an incident going, like they don't even like get sleep or really recover or do much of anything
Sounds
other
like
than the
me.
basics, just because they have to figure out what's going on and either catch up to the attackers, uh, like keep up with the attackers, or get ahead of the attackers for the most part.
This feels like a, what it was called? A psychic, not a psychic reading, but like a...
Personality test, kind of.
Yeah, because it's true.
Yeah.
I never get no damn sleep, and I'm always needing the answers to everything.
So
I'm very methodical, so...
this might be real good because they're Their response metrics include MTTD, MTTA, and MTTR, are basically mean time to detect, mean time to acknowledge, and mean time to recover from attacks.
They even have a rotation.
Yeah, a little bit. Those are more kind of like after action, but like timing of them. So their aim is to achieve swift and effective response, retain financial standing, and avoid negative breach implications. Ultimately, incident responders protect the company's data, reputation, and financial standing. Basically, they are kind of the people who try to stay calm when everything's high pressure and you have like all these teams like breathing down your throat, and like you have to basically kind of work with everybody to make sure that they are kind of on the same page and all kind of
Like being the
maintaining
chef in the
calm as
kitchen.
well. Yeah, very much like that as well. So yeah, I'm gonna go through here as well and see.
I
All
want
right,
to see what yours says.
if I was stranded on an island, the first thing I would do,
Answer honestly.
I know that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to think through them and put myself in the situation, so it might take me a minute to answer. The problem with me is I can think ahead and already see what these tie to, so it makes it difficult. Like if I didn't know it was a quiz and I was just answering these things,
That's
I
why I
could
was
answer
answering
more
fast.
honestly. Yeah,
First thing that popped in my mind, I was like, yeah, that's it. I know how to do that.
exactly. So, I mean, I would probably, between scope the landscape for potential threats and gather food and plan next steps, for me, I'd kind of do both of these together. But if I had to start first, I'd scan for potential threats and then gather food afterwards. Once I kind of know what's around, because I may find food while scoping out.
Yeah, that's smart.
In my spare time, I love keeping busy while learning new things. Have to. I mean, I love tinkering with technology, especially new ones, and seeing how it works, but I don't get as in depth with some of the hardware hacking and learning, but I learn all kinds of different things along with, video games, like psychology, business, like, I just learn. If I could buy a fictional celebrity dinner, it would be Yoda. Favorite game, I gotta go with chess on this one. I'm described as,
What are the options again?
curious, strategical, calm under pressure, mischievous, and practical. I've been described as each one of those in my own time and place.
I would say that you're more strategic or practical.
Okay.
You're a very practical person.
Yeah, I'd have to go with practical. Let's see here. Sorry, I just got a notification on one of my messengers over here. So I'm checking that out real quick. Looks like there is a... Oh, nice, another one. So, jeez. There's a lot of companies right now that started with TCM Security, reducing one of their... I don't know if it actually started with them, could have started with somebody else, but reducing one of their courses to $1 with a code Dollar and Dream. Or, yeah, Dollar and a Dream. And then they matched that and put a second course up for $1. And then there was a third, another company that wanted to match it, and for their GRC course, made it $1. And I just got a notification of a fourth one from some kind of coaching, CFP coaching, and advancing your cybersecurity masterclass for now $1. And this one's through the 22nd. The one before that is through... Doesn't say when that one's done. So yeah, lots of great deals for cybersecurity. If you want to hit me up on Twitter, I have retweeted at least 2 out of the 4 of those, if not 3 out of the 4. So hit me up on there. I'll try to retweet the rest. Alright, so favorite movie. I have to go with Matrix on this. As much as I wanted to love Back to the Future, I do love some parts of it, but it was just a little nutty for me. Terminator, I enjoy those as well, but Matrix still has another layer I enjoy. Not a big fan as much on Indiana Jones or Jurassic Park. I still love them as movies, but not as much around like technology. Matrix always holds a place for me because of the thought, anyway, the thought kind of processes and deep thinking that kind of went into it and like blew my mind, especially when I first watched it. Looks like I have the same thing, so I'm kind of wondering if it's a little skewed there, because we had completely different responses and got the same result, which is interesting.
We are very similar.
I don't know. There's that one quiz that we took that was like, what furry are you? And we all got the same answer no matter what we picked. But that was kind of interesting. Luckily, we were all on the call and kind of like talked through it as we went through it with others. But yeah, that one was.
That was a great like rickroll.
It was like we were all like, wait a second. They were like, you're never gonna guess what I got. And it's like, what? Like mine was expected, but everyone else's was just kind of like, really, or really. All right, so completed. Congrats.
Yay! I have brought into my mind.
Yeah. So.
My brain feels swole.
Alright, so that finished the first part of the learning path. The next will be penetration or pen testing fundamentals and principles of security. So as you can see, I'm still kind of new in this. If you guys ever want, I can send an invite if I have your email address when you get a TryHackMe account, and we can join up on our team or just kind of here and we can compare. I'd definitely love to find some more people who are interested in this and team up with them and kind of maybe even a little friendly compete or help each other out. So as you can see here, the different learning paths, this is the one I'm on currently. There's much easier ones. There's even like complete beginner stuff into Linux and scripting, which I highly recommend you get familiar with Linux and scripting and web application, network security. Like those are some computer essentials. A lot of people may just think, that they don't need to get into that, but interesting. I may go through this CompTIA Pentest Plus. I could probably pass this. I could probably just go for the EJPT as well, but I want to make sure I have all my basics covered, because one of the things I know about successful people is that they double down on the basics. They know the basics extremely well, so they never have to go back, and they just strengthen those core basics so they can build even a taller tower and enhance their knowledge around things. So I don't think I've ever seen this attack and defend King of the Hill here, which is interesting. Yeah, I'll have to research that a little bit, but they have different ones here as well. Leaderboards and other rooms and individuals based on different things. I think some of them are also like how quick you can get through certain rooms and all that, but yeah, if you guys like this content, want to see more, let me know. If anything, I'll be back with some more videos on this, going through some more of this until I especially get to some TryHackMe rooms and things like that, and more cybersecurity stuff on the way. Let me know if you like this or some of my other gaming content. Of course, hit that like button, share it with others, and comment below. And see you again on the next video right after this.